Well, let me ask you a question. Is driving on the street where there's a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit, are you being forcefully obligated to obey that law?
Absolutely.
Right.
All laws are backed up by physical force, and therefore essentially forceful.
Well, that's actually not entirely true at all.
No,
but would you argue,
you can get away with violating the law, and the government will not require you to follow it?
Yeah, that doesn't mean forceful.
Of course.
I get a speeding ticket. Nobody's put a gun to my head. They gave me a speeding ticket. I got to pay the fine.
And what if you don't pay the fine?
Then they can issue a warrant and arrest me.
And they will try to take your property, and it will be forceful.
No, they don't take my property. What are they taking?
Well, if you don't pay the fine,
they're going to take me away, not my property.
Okay, well, they take you and your property.
So wait, but whichever
will put more pressure on you.
Where that leads you is to a completely lawless society. If you're going to apply that test.
No,
Would you support a lawless society?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I'm all in favor of taxing people for the service that is stated in the Declaration of Independence, which is to secure these rights. Governments are instituted. Our rights have to be protected by the government.
But the Constitution also grants a taxing authority to the United States
Constitution originally did not have direct taxation, as you know.
No, that's not true.
No, they did not tax the citizens directly.
What it said was they could. I'm going to correct you here.
Okay.
The Constitution did allow for it. What you're pointing at is it wasn't used. We did not have income taxation until much later.
No, we had to pass the 16th Amendment in order to do that.
There was taxation authority before.
There was taxation authority, but not directly to this individual. The government could not tax the citizen directly. But here's the thing. Previously, you had said that the government should protect peaceful citizens against people that want to use force to take their money, right? Well, is the government protecting the taxpayers when it forcefully takes their money and gives it to other people?
How are they?
Are they protecting them when they do that?
Where we're not going to get anywhere is the mixed metaphor you're using.
Are they? I'm just asking a simple question.
You're not asking me a simple question. You're trying to back me into a corner. You're not going to do.
Well, what does it mean to you to protect?
Your analogy.
Does it mean to prevent the forceful extraction, or does it mean to do the forceful extraction?
Your analogy would negate all law, and yes, it would. Yes, it would. There's not a law in the books that the government, not one, that the government can't forcefully enforce. Do we agree on that?
We do, but previously you said there were some. There were some.
You lost me there. I don't remember what I said.
Yeah.
I said maybe there were.
But now we agree. But before you said there were some that they didn't force you. There were some laws that you weren't forced to follow. Do you remember?
No, actually I don't. Still hungover from last night.
Okay.
If you apply the logic that you're applying for taxes, then you're picking and choosing, because you said you said you're okay with them enforcing speed limits.
Absolutely.
Well, so it's just that you're not okay with them enforcing taxes, but you are okay with speed limits.
The difference is that they are rendering a service to the citizen when they enforce a speed limit, because they are assuring the safety and the bodily integrity of the people that would die in the accident if you went 100 miles an hour
Should there be a different
through a
law
neighborhood.
for a NASCAR driver who can probably drive at 200 safer than I can drive at 30?
But not in a residential neighborhood. And
by the way, you said that military expenditures applies to everybody.
Right.
But the government still forcefully collects taxes.
Absolutely, and they do properly because they are rendering a service to the citizens.
You're okay with
I'm okay with taxes that are not redistributive.
I think
But what we're talking about is talking about redistribution of wealth, which was forcefully taking money from some.
Redistribution of wealth. You acknowledge that I pay more in taxes than you do.
No, that's slightly more you're paying, and let me say this: in my view, they should all pay the same. But so there is some minor amount of redistribution of wealth when it has to do with military spending. But when it is Medicaid, it's a wealth transfer. When one person, they're forcefully taking it to give another person free goods and services.
Try this out.
And that,
don't make
my question, I'm trying to make.
Me.
Okay, I'm trying to make the question here, which is it protecting the taxpayers when they do that?
Yes, because
that's protection.
No, it's providing me a service. Because if it was left up to me, I would want to support a Medicaid program.
Nobody would stop you from voluntarily organizing and provide charity to these well-diverse people.
You don't let me answer. Let me answer.
Okay.
I would want to provide that benefit. How you doing? But I don't have the wherewithal and the time to go state by state to make those donations, but the government does that for me, because the government collects my taxes and distributes it on the basis they distribute Medicaid. 50% of it roughly comes from the state, 50% of it roughly comes from my pocket federally, and does that job for me, and I'm pleased with the result. So why wouldn't I be okay with that?
So you think that it's protecting someone when you forcefully take their money and give it to someone else?
I think they're providing, that's not the same thing. They're providing me a service.
Yes,
you're the one who said they're providing a service.
They're providing a charity service, right? In other words,
charity can be defined in a lot of ways.
Well, isn't that charity when you give money to people that are less well off?
Maybe so.
That's charity. So can you do that on your own?
No, not as effectively.
Of course you can. Don't we have
to go to work every day. I don't have time.
The Red Cross and
they can't do that job, can they? Or they wouldn't.
Of course they can. No, they do all kinds of jobs.
You're showing a remarkable lack of understanding of that program.
There's all sorts of charitable organizations that help poor people.
But they don't do that.
But they can do that if you contributed to them instead of the government. In other words, you don't need a government to do charity. You can do it on your own, right?
Actually,
is that correct?
In some respects it's correct, in other respects it's not correct.
We have charitable institutions for every kind of need in our country.
Yeah,
and they could expand. So if you would voluntarily donate the money you want to help these poor people with their health services, they could perform that service as well.
I don't think they could.
And private charities usually are more efficient and less corrupt than the government.
So what you're really suggesting is people who... Thank you. I appreciate that. He is too. Come and help me. Come and help me.
Bring on all the help you can get.
I love you.
We welcome help.
Yeah, all right.